This airline was supposed to make Albanians proud. Instead, it's accused of money laundering, mafia ties, and missing millions. When I tried to fly with them, everything started to fall apart. Behind the red tailfin of Air Albania apparently lies a web of corruption and fraud so deep, it almost sounds unreal. This is the shocking downfall of Albania's mafia airline. It all started when a hotel owner in Tirana told me something strange about Air Albania. But let me rewind for a second. My wife and I had visited Albania a couple years ago and we loved it. In my opinion, Albania is a true hidden gem. We were stunned by its beautiful beaches, amazing food, breathtaking landscapes, and a fascinating culture. From that first trip, we knew we wanted to visit again one day. So this October, we decided to go back. I booked our flight with the country's flag carrier, Air Albania, an airline I barely knew anything about but wanted to try. Our first hotel included an airport pickup, so I gave them our flight number on booking.com. That's when I got a strange message back.
Air Albania is reportedly facing operational issues, and many flights are being cancelled. Please check if your flight is operating. I see no departure or arrival of this flight.
That message sparked my curiosity, so I started digging. And what I found was far beyond bad customer reviews or delays. It was a web of corruption, political ties, and mafia connections so deep I still can't tell where the airline ends and where the scandal begins. With every document I found, 5 new questions appeared. Before Air Albania, there was chaos. During the communist era, travel was heavily restricted and airplanes were symbols of escape, not travel. When the regime collapsed in the 1990s, the country finally wanted wings of its own. Albanian Airlines was born. But instead of pride, came scandal. I came across claims linking the airline to money laundering and even arms and heroin trade. I wasn't able to independently verify those claims, but what's confirmed is that international investigations were opened due to money laundering, millions were frozen, the president of the company was arrested, and the airline's license revoked. What then followed was a carousel of short-lived airlines. Albatross Airways shut down under murky political pressure, Bel Air collapsing overnight after selling 40,000 tickets it could never honor. Earnest Airlines repeating the same playbook, tickets sold, flight cancelled, money gone. Behind the schemes were often the same families, politicians and businessmen. Every time the Albanian people lost and the insiders walked away rich. After years of failed airlines and corruption scandals, Prime Minister Edi Rama wanted to start fresh. In 2018, he announced the creation of a new national carrier, Air Albania. It was presented as a symbol of pride, built in partnership with Turkish Airlines, and meant to restore trust in Albanian aviation. On paper, the project promised an Albanian majority. In practice, the state received only 10% of the shares. The rest went to Turkish Airlines and the newly founded company called MDN Investment, a firm that didn't even exist until a few days before the airline's official launch. There was no public tender, no open bidding, no independent oversight. The deal appeared overnight, fast and quiet, without the usual transparency requirements. So, Rama was immediately accused of corruption by opposition members. In a 2018 statement, the Democratic Party MP claimed that the government had handed the operation of the new airline to a ghost company with only €800 in capital. Behind that company stood a familiar name, Sinan Idrizi, a businessman apparently known for his controversial ventures in football, energy and trade. Documents later revealed that Air Albania had been launched as a part of a package project closely tied to the planned Vlora airport and other state concessions granted under similar opaque conditions. According to the Institute for Democracy and Mediation, these so-called special laws allowed the Albanian government to bypass procurement rules, exclude competition, and legally protect politically connected firms from investigation. So from the very start, Air Albania carried the same DNA that had already brought down every Albanian airline before it, a mix of politics, privilege, and quiet deals behind closed doors. At the center of this story stands Sinan Idrizi, an Albanian businessman whose name appears in nearly every major deal linked to Air Albania. He began his career in import and export before moving into real estate and later football, where he became a leading figure at the club Flamaturi Vlora. But the information surrounding him is fragmented and controversial. According to multiple Albanian and Turkish media reports, Idrizi has been connected to several financial disputes and criminal investigations abroad. Some outlets have described him as a wanted man in earlier fraud cases, though the full extent of his record remains unclear. Despite the controversies, Idrizi soon became CEO and co-owner of Air Albania, the country's new national carrier, backed by Turkish Airlines and the Albanian government. While the government stayed silent, Air Albania seemed to keep losing money from day one. According to Turkish Airlines, the Albanian flag carrier accumulated over $105 million in debt. However, financial statements were never made public and questions about how the airline was funded went unanswered. By mid-2025, Air Albania had become a ghost of an airline. Tickets were still being sold, yet flights quietly disappeared from the schedule. Even my own flight was cancelled without a refund or a response. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the company was collapsing. As of now, only one aircraft remains in operation, a jet leased from the Bulgarian carrier Sky2Fly. That same plane had previously flown for airlines in Libya and Nigeria before being repainted in red and black for Air Albania. Meanwhile, all their own aircraft had been grounded or repossessed. In February 2025, Air Albania took two Boeing 737-800s from the Ukrainian airline SkyUp, agreeing to prepay for a 2-year contract. But according to court filings and company statements, the leasing payments never arrived. SkyUp accused Air Albania of double booking identical routes and withdrew its aircraft at a heavy loss. The case is now pending in court with a hearing scheduled for December 2025. Moreover, insiders told local media that senior management had begun withdrawing funds as the airline neared insolvency, leaving little behind for staff or creditors. So it comes at no surprise when critics describe Air Albania as another mafia project from Vlora, where thousands pay for tickets, the airline collapses, and insiders walk away rich. According to them, it's once again a cycle of fraud, debt, and political protection. Meanwhile, all other stakeholders are left behind. Employees reported unpaid wages and missing social security contributions. Pilots and cabin crew described months of delays. Today, Air Albania only operates one active route, Tirana to Istanbul. But real-time flight data shows that even this route is often delayed for hours, sometimes days, or cancelled entirely. Online, there are countless reports from passengers who say they were stranded, ignored, or never received refunds. With just one plane left in the air, maintaining a schedule is almost impossible. The entire operation depends on a single aircraft, and the pressure to keep it flying at any cost must be enormous. Honestly, it makes you wonder what it means for the plane's airworthiness. In August 2025, the American leasing company GA Telesis filed a lawsuit in the High Court of England and Wales against Air Albania and its shareholder Turkish Airlines. According to the claim, the Albanian carrier had stopped paying for the leasing fees for two Airbus A320 aircraft in March 2025, yet continued operating at least one of them. The jets registered ZA-ASM and ZA-MMK were meant to be returned months earlier. When that did not happen, GA Telesis sought a court order to ground both aircraft, recover the engines, and secure damages for breach of contract. Court documents list Turkish Airlines as the financial guarantor of the lease agreement. However, when GA Telesis demanded repayment, the Turkish side declined responsibility, arguing that the Albanian operator was solely liable. Neither Air Albania nor Turkish Airlines has issued a public statement, but insiders quoted by Albanian media describe a company in financial freefall with no liquidity, only one leased aircraft, and virtually no operations left. As the scandal surrounding Air Albania intensified, the pressure on those investigating them increased as well. Reporters who questioned the airline's finances or its political ties apparently began receiving threats, phone calls, messages, and in some cases, physical attacks. One of the most serious incidents involved the investigative TV program Piranjat. While filming outside Air Albania's offices in Tirana, a camera crew was allegedly confronted and assaulted. According to eyewitnesses cited by local media, the attackers included individuals connected to Albania's underground scene and reportedly the airline's co-owner Sinan Idrizi. The crew's equipment was destroyed and their footage never recovered. When opposition members raised the incident in parliament, the government issued no response, no investigation was opened, and no official statement was released. For many journalists, the message was clear. Reporting on Air Albania comes at a cost. Several described intimidation as part of daily life. anonymous calls, surveillance outside their homes, unmarked cars waiting near their offices. Press freedom groups, including the Balkan Investigative Reporting Network, have since warned that such cases reflect a broader pattern of hostility toward independent journalism in Albania, where business, politics, and law enforcement increasingly intersect in ways that make accountability difficult to achieve. By now, it's clear that Air Albania is more than a failed airline. For many, it seems to be part of a larger system. Media investigations have suggested that Prime Minister Edi Rama sits at the center of a network connecting politics, business, and organized crime. To be clear, that's what several outlets reported, not a claim I can personally verify. His former deputy, Arben Ametaj, now a fugitive in Switzerland, claims Rama regularly met with mafia leaders inside his government office. Those meetings, Ametaj says, were arranged through Ergis Agassi, a businessman in the tobacco trade. Rama denies everything, but Albania's public broadcaster, Report, released photos showing Rama with Luftar Hisa, a man identified by Canadian authorities as a key money launderer for the Sinaloa cartel. Just 2 months later, Hisa received a license to open a luxury casino in the city of Flora. Transparency International lists the so-called tailor-made laws that shape the country's biggest projects, Air Albania, Vlora Airport, and others, granting public contracts to government-friendly companies while bypassing competition rules. Critics, however, say these laws effectively legalize corruption. Meanwhile, European support keeps flowing. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen praised Rama's commitment to friendship, calling Albania on track to join the European Union. All while international reports describe the nation as a narco-state, its elites intertwined with drug cartels stretching from the Balkans to Latin America. Police investigators, whistleblowers, even former ministers have fled the country. Inside Albania, journalists are beaten, courts are loyal, and opposition voices vanish behind indictments. By the end of 2025, Air Albania is on the verge of collapse. Only one aircraft remains in operation, every other jet has been repossessed after months of unpaid leasing fees. The airline no longer releases financial reports and no public data exists on its outstanding debt. According to internal sources quoted by Albanian media, liabilities are believed to exceed tens of millions of euros. The Albanian state still holds a 10% stake, while the remaining shares belong to private partners now facing multiple lawsuits abroad. Despite repeated requests for comment from journalists and opposition members, the government has not issued any official statement. Officially, the airline still appears active on paper. In reality, most of its staff have left, its fleet is grounded, and its future uncertain. What was once promoted as a national flagship has turned into a financial shell, an airline that survives only in name, while the debts, lawsuits, and silence around it continue to grow. I've tried to contact Air Albania for more than a month now, and I received no answer. There are no responses to emails, no statements on their website, and nothing on their social media either. The allegations uncovered in my research are serious, and honestly, I still wonder how this airline even continues to exist. But to be fair, given the volume of information, confirming every fact and its origin simply isn't possible. Some Albanian media have suggested that there's an active campaign to discredit the airline, something I can't confirm but also can't dismiss. Meanwhile, Turkish Airlines has emphasized in reports that it's acting solely as a partner and will not assume any responsibility for debts. What's certain is that the truth about Air Albania remains unclear, and the silence from those involved only makes it harder to find. According to reports by Alpha Press and documents attributed to airline records, some investigations allege that Sinan Idrizi himself oversaw the fraudulent scheme connected to Air Albania. The same reports claim that his wife and daughter, both reportedly under criminal investigation, hold a 41% stake in the airline. Alpha Press further alleges that, to avoid prosecution, Idrizi relocated his family to Istanbul, where they allegedly became involved in activities linked to Turkish, Cypriot, Israeli, and Arab criminal groups. These are serious accusations based solely on media reports. I have not been able to independently verify any of these claims. And again, I want to emphasize that this video is not against Albania as a country or the proud Albanian people. The story about Air Albania was never just about an airline. It reflects how public institutions, private interest, and political power can merge until accountability disappears. What began as a national project designed to restore pride and connect Albania with the world turned into a network of private deals, offshore companies, and untraceable money flows. Promises of transparency gave way to closed-door agreements, and public funds blended with private profit. In the process, the idea of a national airline became something else, a symbol of how easily state projects can be repurposed for personal gain. Court filings, leaked contracts, and testimonials from employees all point to a system where loyalty often outweighs legality and silence replaces oversight. The consequences are tangible: passengers left without refunds, workers without pay, and the Albanian taxpayers carrying debts they never agreed to. For many observers, Air Albania has become a case study in how corruption operates quietly through legal loopholes, friendly partnerships, and political protection. A flag carrier once built to unite a nation now stands as evidence of how fragile that idea can be when public trust is traded as expendable. Another weird airline is the Dictator Airline from Turkmenistan. Click here to watch the video, and thank you so much for watching.